Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. Today, Brad Garlinghouse was interviewed by Julia Chatterley on CNN, and I had not heard of her, but this was a really interesting interview, I thought. I watched it live on, well, I didn't watch it live as it was happening, but I watched Alex Cobb's live stream, but when it wasn't live. It was a little bit, I didn't have time right when it was happening, unfortunately. I had some business-related meetings earlier in the day. But I ended up watching it twice, and I hope that I don't forget all the things that I wanted to talk about. I actually just finished watching it the second time right before hitting record for this particular video. But some of the stuff they're talking about is the concept of XRP dumping. My God, that troll crypto bitlord was brought up on freaking CNN. You know, he's the one that got the petition going to stop Ripple from dumping XRP with a whopping 3,500 people signed that petition, by the way, out of 1.8 million XRP account activations out there. So very, very, very small percentage of people actually bought into that. So I'm going to be covering all of this, and then at the tail end of the video, I'm going to cover a piece about Santander launching their first end-to-end blockchain bond. Now, before we get going here, if you would please delicately tap that like button, and if you're a fan of Ripple and XRP and Brad Garlinghouse, go ahead and subscribe to the Moon Lambo channel. It's the responsible adult thing to do. So here's a tweet from Brad Garlinghouse just a little bit earlier today. Thanks, Julia Chatterley, that's a CNN host, for having me on to address all the FUD about Ripple and XRP. It's in our best interest to maintain a healthy XRP ecosystem, and I'm happy to put any rumors of the contrary to rest. And by the way, this was originally supposed to air yesterday. I just want to mention this real quick. The interview did not air yesterday, and I can respect the reason. Here's a tweet from Julia Chatterley yesterday. It says, calling all Ripple and XRP enthusiasts. The interview with Brad Garlinghouse will air on tomorrow's First Move. We didn't want to interrupt the interview with today's special September 11th memorial coverage. Check it out on Thursday this week after 9:30 a.m. Totally cool with that, but if you were wondering why it didn't come up, because I mentioned this interview 2 days ago. I was like, hey, this is happening Wednesday, and then it didn't, so I didn't get to talk about it. I was looking forward to talking about it yesterday. It didn't happen, but that's okay. That's okay. Let me cover this piece with you. So I want to show you this piece from the Daily Hodl on the topic, and then I'm going to share with you my thoughts along this piece, of course, but they titled this, Brad Garlinghouse says Ripple can't control price of XRP, addresses threat to fork third largest cryptocurrency, and that's the whole stupid crypto bitlord thing, which I cannot believe that troll. He's literally just trolling, and I was amazed. I shared it publicly on a video when Yahoo Finance picked it up, and I was just like, there was just bewilderment in my eyes, if you could see it. Like, I was just, who would really believe that this guy actually means what he's saying? And actually, if you dig into the history, you can see that he's just a very pro-XRP guy, and he likes to tweak people. Stupid stuff. And then Forbes picked it up, and now it's getting talked about on CNN. Damn it. Completely ridiculous. Anyway, Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse says Ripple's routine over-the-counter sale of XRP is not affecting the price of the third largest cryptocurrency by market cap. The price of XRP is down 27% this year, while Bitcoin has surged 175%, according to CoinMarketCap. The big disparity led a crypto influencer known as Crypto Bitlord to create a petition urging his thousands of followers to support him in demanding Ripple stop selling portions of its holdings to crypto exchanges and institutions. So far, more than 3,500 people have signed the petition. In a new interview with CNN, Garlinghouse compares Ripple's holdings of more than half of the total supply of XRP to Bitcoin whales that own large quantities of Bitcoin, and says that ultimately he believes Ripple can't affect the price of XRP. And oh my God, this is what I keep putting out on this channel, and I'm sure most of you agree with me, but every now and then I'll look in the comment below and somebody has some, what I would perceive as not completely fleshed out a thought on how Ripple actually is affecting the price. Let me share with you this quote right here, because this is what I've been saying on this channel for weeks and weeks and weeks. And this is from Brad Garlinghouse. If you look at the correlations between XRP and most of the crypto market, are what are often called the altcoins, you see a very high degree of correlation. Ripple can't control the price of XRP any more than the whales can control the price of Bitcoin. Some of these markets, particularly smaller tokens that have a lower market cap and lower flows, if you will, they are at risk of people manipulating them. But you're talking about XRP trades an order of magnitude of $1 billion a day of activity, according to CoinMarketCap. So I don't think anybody's in a position to really manipulate those prices. Around the ownership price, as is the case with Bitcoin, there's some big whales that were early in the Bitcoin community. There's one wallet that has 1 million Bitcoin in it. Nobody knows who owns it. In the XRP community, Ripple is the largest owner. Exactly, right? And then it states, as the biggest single owner of XRP, Garlinghouse says it's not in Ripple's best interest to flood the market with the digital asset. He also points to Ripple's use of XRP as a tool to fund the development of the XRP ecosystem. And just this is perfect timing. One of the things that I spoke about in one of my videos yesterday, and I pulled up the chart for it at the time, it was from, I think, May of 2017, if I'm not mistaken. It was a chart from Ripple, the company themselves, showing their 30-year distribution plan for XRP. 30 years, exactly. They have no intention of flooding the market. It wouldn't be good for them or the adoption of XRP. Crypto's volatile without that type of nonsense. And Ripple, if Ripple were a human, they'd be the adult in the room. Okay, that's how I look at it anyway. So let me read this. So here's a quote from Brad Garlinghouse. And actually I didn't read this, did I? As the biggest single owner of XRP, Garlinghouse says it's not in Ripple's best interest to flood the market with the digital asset. He also points to Ripple's use of XRP as a tool to fund the development of the XRP ecosystem. Now here's another quote from Brad Garlinghouse, Ripple CEO. The point I have made is we are the most interested party in the success of the XRP ecosystem. We're very focused on our use case and how do we solve problems with XRP. One of the things I'm excited about is you're seeing a growing ecosystem of other players investing in other use cases around XRP. Just recently, we announced a partnership with Coil, which is doing micropayments for content. So the next time you're reading a story on the Financial Times and you hit that paywall, you hypothetically just pay a dime, a quarter, 50 cents, where today that's a pretty hard problem. And companies like Coil are going to use XRP for those micropayment transactions. So yes, Ripple owns a lot of XRP. We're very interested in the success of XRP. But the accusations of us dumping, that's not in our best interest to do that. We're clearly interested in a healthy, successful ecosystem. And so we would never do that. And in fact, have taken steps to lock up most of the XRP we own in escrow. Essentially, we can't touch it. And I can't remember. No, it doesn't show it now. Okay, so in terms of the quantity of XRP, one of the things, and it's not covered in this article, but one of the things that he was talking about in this CNN interview, excuse me, he was talking about the sale of XRP. And so not just the fact that Ripple themselves are not just dumping XRP, it's limited to a percentage of their of volume. Really, that's when determining how much XRP to sell. They limit it themselves to just a percentage in terms of volume, and that's why, as they found that volume reporting isn't quite what is real, they are responding to that responsibly, and that's why you saw in the last quarterly market report from about XRP from Ripple that they're going to be reducing their XRP sales. Perfectly reasonably measured approach, right? Of course, who wouldn't respect that, right? Bitcoin maxis is the answer, by the way. But in terms of the sale of XRP, the question was posed, so you're selling this XRP to other institutions, this or that. What is the effect there? And Brad went on to talk about how, well, okay, there could be, if you're talking about selling at a discount, because that is the question that Julia Chatterley was pretty bluntly asking. Actually, she said she kept getting told that she needs to, from multiple people, that she needs to ask Brad this when he's interviewed. And so Brad's response was, look, if there's any sort of, and I'm paraphrasing, but if there's any sort of discount associated with price, then there would be requirements. Sale requirements, restrictions on when and how much XRP can be sold, and he said that it is based on volume, which I've been saying so much lately because there's been so much FUD out there, especially over the last seems like a month or two or whatever it's been, about this Ripple sale of XRP and selling it to financial institutions, and then theories about them just flooding the market, and it's a whole bunch of silliness, of course. And so it was good to hear it directly from Brad Garlinghouse himself. It's just a bunch of fun. From my perspective, it's mostly just people out there that have different priorities. You know, they don't have a horse in the race that is Ripple and XRP. Maybe they're just Bitcoin maximalists, and that's where they've got all their money tied up, and they don't want to see other coins do well because they view it as competition. I think there's probably a lot of that, to be perfectly honest. But anyway, nonetheless. So proceeding here, Crypto Bitlord is also threatening to fork the XRP ledger if Ripple doesn't stop selling XRP. Since the XRP ledger is an open source technology, Garlinghouse says a fork may happen. Here's a quote from Brad. When people talk about forking technologies, you have seen Bitcoin forked multiple times. You have seen Bitcoin Cash, BSV, Bitcoin Diamond. I can't name them all. There's 4 or 5 forks of the Bitcoin blockchain. Bitcoin, obviously, the primary Bitcoin, has remained the most notable. But in the same way, people can take XRP, an open source technology, and hypothetically, they could fork that if they chose to do so. Okay, and I talked about this the other day also, and what the hell would that do? Think about those that are interested in the actual ecosystem. Think about the liquidity providers that are tied in with XRapid. XRP, like a fork of XRP, would not be XRP, correct? Just like Bitcoin Cash is not Bitcoin. They're different. If there's a fork of XRP, it doesn't work with XRapid. So fork anything you want all day. What utility is there? Like, who's going to use it? You know, you can't just replicate perfectly functional code, which is actually gaining adoption thanks to utility, which is XRP. You can't just fork that and then be like, okay, who's going to use it? You know, conceptually, that makes no damn sense to me. Come on now. And so do it all you want. Just do it all you want. It doesn't matter. And then this piece ends by stating, in its latest quarterly report, Ripple says it sold 251.51 million worth of XRP in the second quarter and plans to sell less this quarter. All right, and then beyond that, Brad had the general explanation of kind of the friction involved with moving money around the world, and he uses the example I like, just the cutest little example of if I want to move money from the Bank of Brad to the Bank of Julia, the CNN host, and then what that whole process looks like, you know. And that's one of those things, though, if you're just listening to this interview, and I know because I had to learn about this at some point as well, and having no banking background or a finance background whatsoever, you hear it for the first time, and you're like, okay, could you repeat that, though? You know, and there's no way that these sound bites are going to be enough to get the average person watching to actually understand fundamentally what's happening here. But I do kind of hope that it would get some people to look into this further. Okay, so what's this XRP thing about? What's crypto about? And maybe just learn about it a little bit further, because before I jumped in, for me, honestly, and it was, I talked about this in my first YouTube video ever, but it was a very negative article which prompted me to look into cryptocurrencies, and ultimately because of that, I learned about XRP. And so, but for me, you know, it took a bunch of repetitions. Like, I had heard it in media over the last, I don't know if it was a year or however long, and man, I wish I'd looked in sooner. But it's okay. But eventually, there's enough repetitions, like, okay, what is this? And I got interested, and I started doing my own research, and now this whole thing has happened, and I run a YouTube channel explicitly about XRP, which I didn't even know existed 2 years ago. So it's the coolest thing on the planet, I think, here. Now, there's going to be more, it looks like, so check out this tweet from Julia Chatterley, CNN host. And it was in response to that first tweet that I read you from Brad Garlinghouse towards the beginning part of this video. And she wrote, "Thanks for joining us, Brad Garlinghouse. And I'm really looking forward to continuing the conversation on First Move very soon." And that's the name of the CNN TV show. So I hope there is more soon. You know, this is one of those things with how much there is to talk about as it pertains to XRP. You can talk for hours and hours and hours. And actually, I'm freaking proof of that. You know, I put out multiple videos each day, and I still am not capable of covering everything that I'd like to cover on a daily basis. Like, there's really not enough time in the day. You know, I'd have to actually turn it into an actual full-time job, which I'm not going to do. I already spent enough time on my XRP hobby here. But, yeah, there's a lot to get. There's a lot to understand. But very cool stuff anyway. All right, then I got this from XRP, @XRP Crypto Wolf on Twitter. Sent me a message about this story. Santander issued a $20 million bond on Ethereum and paid fiat for it on the public blockchain. All right, let me go ahead and jump into this piece. I pulled up the one from A&B Crypto on the topic here. Banco Santander, a commercial bank in Spain, announced launch of the first end-to-end blockchain bond of $20 million issued directly on the Ethereum blockchain. The bank revealed in a press release that the bond would exist only on the Ethereum blockchain. Even though the bank itself is the issuer of the bond, the purchase of the bond was made by one of the group's units at a market price. The report further suggested that the bond bears a quarterly coupon of 1.98%. The funds used in the investment and the quarterly coupons have been digitally staged on the blockchain since it's already been tokenized. Several units of Santander were a part of this, as Santander Securities Services played the role of the tokenization agent and the custodian of the cryptographic keys, while Santander Corporate and Investment Banking, CIB, was the dealer for the issuance. The chief financial officer of the bank, Jose Garcia Cantera, said that Santander is taking a lead during the digital transformation of the financial sector. And Cantera said, and here's a quote, "We want to take advantage of any technology that can accelerate that process so that our customers thrive and be faster and more efficient, and blockchain is one of those technologies." Furthermore, the press release suggested that the mechanization led to minimized involvement of intermediaries, which further enabled faster transactions. The bank revealed that the issuance of the bond would mark the bank's first step towards a potential secondary market for mainstream security to tokens in the future. Jose Maria Linares, the global head of Santander CIB, suggested that the customers of the bank demand the best use of the technology to deliver better capital raising efforts. And here's a quote from Linares. "This blockchain-issued bond puts Santander at the forefront of capital markets innovation and demonstrates to clients that we are the best partner to support them on their digital journey." And so here you go. I'd put this under the category of the world trying to figure out how to use blockchain technology, basically. Santander, go get it. It's cool, even if it's about Ethereum. That's perfectly fine. And then XRP Crypto also wrote, wasn't there 100,000 ETH equal close to $20 million that were recently transferred on the XRP ledger? Could this have anything to do with it? As far as the, and I remember that story about the ETH getting moved, and I actually covered it in a video. Anytime you're talking about a cryptocurrency getting moved on the XRP ledger or anything, that would just be the issuance of an IOU. It's not that Ethereum somehow exited its blockchain and was now on the XRP ledger somehow. That's literally not how this works. Just it's in the same way that XRP will always be on the XRP ledger. It cannot leave it. It is quite literally impossible. And so what you're talking about is the issuance of an IOU, because the XRP ledger has a built-in decentralized exchange. And so that's how that's possible. And so then as a result, and this is not like some sort of critique, I don't want to take it the wrong way, but it would be, it's not like it's a decentralized issuance. And that's where you get, so this whole thing, remember the FUD about XRP capable of freezing XRP, which isn't true because only gateways can freeze XRP, which is their own holdings, essentially, right? Even if it's the holdings of their customers on exchange. But what can be frozen is IOUs issued on an exchange. That is built into the XRP ledger by design. But it's not like Ripple or anybody else can just freeze XRP, and so that's where that confusion comes in as well. And so I'm not sure how many people realize that, but that's what actually is going on there. So anyway, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. I am not a financial advisor. Do not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo!